Most people think getting your foot in the door at a new company is the hardest part. For me, that part was actually amazing, thanks to a really nice lady who went completely out of her way to help me get hired. The real plot twist? She desperately wanted me in her department, but I ended up getting placed into a completely different one. And looking back, she was trying to save me from a total disaster. So, right off the bat, I have to give credit where credit is due. Getting into the company happened because of this incredibly kind insider, but due to corporate hiring, timing, or just how the slots opened up, I got placed on a different team. At the time, I was just happy to have the job. I figured, hey, how different can it really be? I was so wrong. My first week in August was incredibly lackluster. There was no real structure, no real training plan. But then, one specific event happened that completely irked me and gave me a massive red flag about how this place operated. I was being trained by a coworker, and his version of training was telling me to just go over to the machinery and fidget with it. Just mess around with it to get a hang of it on my own. So I did that for about 10 minutes. Right after that, he tells me, hey, you can go on lunch whenever you want. So I explicitly told my trainer, all right, I'm heading to lunch now. He knew exactly where I was. I went, grabbed a sandwich, and sat down to eat. Now here's the kicker. The sandwich had cheese on it, and if you're lactose intolerant like me, you know exactly what that means. Right after lunch, my stomach completely betrays me, and I have to sprint to the bathroom. While I am literally trapped in the bathroom dealing with an emergency, my phone rings. It's my supervisor. I answer it. And she immediately hits me with, "You've been gone for 2 hours." I was stunned. It hadn't even been a single hour since I walked away. I politely explained the situation. I'm actually in the bathroom right now. Simple, right? Normal human understanding should kick in, but nope. She straight up didn't believe me, and she actually initiated a formal meeting with my recruiter over it. On my first week, after all that drama, literally nothing happened. The meeting came and went, and suddenly everything was supposedly hunky-dory. I just put my head down and did my job for the next few months. But then we hit the November-December timeline, and out of nowhere the goalposts shifted. I was pulled aside and given a warning that I needed to step up my testing pace. When you get a warning like that, you take it seriously. I kicked things into overdrive. I started working a lot more, completely changed my workflow, and I was absolutely pumping out products. I thought, okay, problem solved. I proved my worth. Normally, a manager would see that massive improvement and say, wow, great job. Instead, I was met with another surprise meeting with my recruiter in early February. This time, they were coming after me for minor, occasional mistakes, like forgetting a single signature. The kind of small human errors that happen to literally everyone, especially when you're being pushed to pump out work at lightning speed. And their solution? They moved me to an afternoon shift in a different lab that was completely understaffed. On Mondays and Wednesdays, there were only 2 people in that entire lab because another analyst had schooling during the day. They put me in charge of 4 separate lines. 4 lines means a mountain of paperwork for each and every line. It was physically impossible for one person to maintain. I gave it everything I had, staying until 12:30 in the morning, exhausted, just trying to keep up. I just couldn't do it. And because I couldn't do the work of 3 people 2 weeks later in late February, I was dragged into a second, much more serious meeting. I was just so confused. I understood the paperwork was behind, but nobody wanted to understand why. Nobody cared about the lack of staff. They just kicked me out of that lab, shuffled me into another one, and once I was back in a normal environment, I did completely fine. No mistakes, everything back to hunky-dory. But the whole time this was happening, my recruiter, the person I thought was there to help me, would occasionally pop into the lab. He'd be all giggles and smiles, hitting me with the classic, "Hey, how's everything going?" I thought everything was fine because nobody was telling me otherwise. I actually really wanted to stay at this company long term because they had other departments where I knew I could truly learn and grow. This current department was just staggering my career and stressing me out with drama I didn't want to be a part of. So I tried to transfer out to one of those good departments. And that is when the knife went into my back. I found out that my recruiter, the guy smiling in my face, went straight to the hiring manager of the department I wanted to join and told them not to consider me for the position. He actively sabotaged my growth behind closed doors without ever coming to talk to me or trying to understand what was actually happening in that chaotic lab. So when April 10th rolled around and I received a phone call saying they no longer needed my services due to a headcount issue, my honest reaction was just, fine, whatever. At that point, that department had completely drained me. I couldn't bring myself to care anymore. When your supervisor sets you up to fail, HR won't help you, and your own recruiter is actively blacklisting your transfers, you aren't losing a job, you're escaping a trap. It was a stressful, messy chapter, but getting pushed out was a blessing in disguise. It was the only way to get my peace of mind back, and I'm ready for a workplace that actually knows how to treat its people. Have you guys ever dealt with a fake recruiter or a toxic workplace that tried to block you from growing? Let me know in the comments. Let's talk about it.